Ontario County Health Related Facility with Pearlbert Angel. Pearl, thank you for taking a little bit of time this morning and talking to me. I wonder if you could tell me who your grandparents were.
John and Ann Watkins.
John and Ann Watkins.
Mhm.
Those are two of your four grandparents.
That's the only two I ever knew.
The only two you ever knew. Where did they live?
Up just beyond, on 245, just beyond me.
Okay, they lived on 245 going from Gorham to Stanley.
Right?
Was it near the intersection of Goose Street and
Yes.
245?
Yes. Uh-huh.
Did they have a farm or what did they do?
I don't know what they did.
Don't know what they did.
My grandmother was dead, and my grandfather died right after I was born.
Okay. Who was your mother?
Oh, Bertha Watkins.
Bertha Watkins was your mother.
Uh-huh.
And did she go to Gorham School?
I don't know.
Don't know where she
I
went
don't
to school. Okay. And Bertha, did she have a trade in life?
No,
No. Where did she meet your father?
I don't know.
Don't know that either. What was your father's name?
John
Father's name was John, and his last name was...
Watkins. John Watkins. We're talking about my mother's
Okay.
my mother's parents.
Let's talk about your parents for a few minutes. Your mother was... What was her first
My
name?
mother was Bertha.
Bertha.
Uh-huh.
And your mother married who? What's your father's name?
Hurlbut.
Okay, his last name is Hurlbert. Where were his people from?
She doesn't know, and I don't know. I don't know. They weren't from around here.
Okay. Where did your parents get married?
I suppose in Gorham.
Probably
Church
in Gorham.
Gorham.
Do you know what year?
Have no idea.
No idea. How many brothers and sisters did you have?
I had four brothers.
All four brothers.
All four brothers.
No
sisters.
sisters.
No sisters.
Who was? Give me their names from oldest to youngest, if
All
you
right,
would.
there was Clyde, and there was Charles, and there's Russell, and then the one that was Barney, his name is Wilbur.
Okay, Wilbur.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now he was. Then were you the last?
Yeah,
You were the baby of the
I
family.
was the baby of the family.
And the Barney was the next older?
No, Barney was a nickname for Wilbur.
Okay. Did the family call him Wilbur?
I think they did, more or less,
Okay. What month and day and year were you born?
February
And what day?
the 5th, 1922.
1922. How much older were you than Barney? Was Barney?
I was younger.
Oh, I thought you were the youngest of the kids.
I am. But he was 11 when I was born.
Okay, so he was 11 years older. So he was born in 1911?
I don't know.
If you were born in 1922,
Yeah, right.
he was 11 years older. Where did you go to school?
Gorham Central.
Okay. Now you went to Gorham Central. Did your older brothers go there as well?
I think they went to Geneva
Oh,
because I don't think there was any high school or anything like that.
did they go by a car or did they go by train?
I think they went, I don't know.
Don't
I
know how
don't
they
dare say because I don't know.
Okay.
See, most of my brothers were away from home when I was growing up.
Okay. What did your father do for a
He
living?
was a carpenter.
He was a carpenter.
Mhm.
Did he build primarily houses or what
Yeah.
did he work on?
Houses and like that.
Did he work for himself or did he work
was
for others?
self-employed.
Self-employed. Did he work with him and a hired helper or did he work with another owner?
Yeah, I understand he worked for Nels Iverson at one time.
Oh, okay.
And then he went on his own.
I see. What did you do for enjoyment when you weren't in school? What did you do for fun?
Oh, go to movies and things like that, roller skating.
Okay. Think about when you were around 10 years of age. Who were your best friends?
Oh, I can't think that far back.
Can't think back
No.
that far.
I do have a best friend, though, is still a friend. Her name is Louise Pilzer right now.
What was her name when you knew her in Gorham?
Louise de Cook.
The cook, okay. In the summertime when you were a young girl, what did you do? Did you have to work for ladies in the area or
No, I just stayed at home.
stayed at home?
Mhm.
Okay. Did you help your mother a lot
Oh,
then?
yes. Yes.
Did your family go to one of the churches around?
Yes. Bethel Baptist.
You went to the Bethel Baptist
Yeah.
Church. Now, of course, then it was on South Street,
Yeah.
wasn't it?
Right.
You remember who your favorite minister was?
Oh, I don't know. We had several.
Did you?
Mhm.
Did you go to Vacation Bible School? Did you
Yeah.
have that going?
Mhm. I was baptized in that church.
Were you baptized right in the church?
Right. Yeah.
I see. Your brothers were older. Didn't Russell have the garage in Stanley?
Yes, he did.
He was a very handy fellow, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
he put hoists on trucks.
Tell me about that.
I don't know too much except he put them on these big trucks. He got the hoists, I understand, from Canada. The hoists were built in Canada.
Wasn't it Edbro? Something
Yeah,
like that?
right. You have it right.
And I understand that that was a real big deal back then. It
Yeah.
was a real busy business
Uh-huh.
and did a lot of work.
Right.
Did you remember what your dad's first name was? If it comes to you, just give me a wave and
Okay.
well, I want to put it on the
It
tape.
was Bryant.
Bryant?
Bryant.
Okay. And he was the carpenter.
Yeah.
First for Iverson's and then on his own.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you live in a house that your dad built, or did you buy it from someone else?
We bought it from someone else, I understand.
Okay.
Down on Dewey Avenue.
Someone on Dewey Avenue. Did you ever take the train out of Gorham or Stanley?
No, I didn't.
Never took it.
I think my brothers may have, but I didn't.
Okay. Do you remember what you were doing when you were about 19 and World War II was declared? Do you remember where you first heard about Pearl Harbor?
Yeah.
What were you doing?
I probably was in business school because I went to business school in Canandaigua.
What was the name of the school?
Well, I guess it was Canandaigua School of Business or something like this.
And that was located where?
Up over the stores in Canandaigua.
Okay. Do you know what store is there now?
I think the Salvation Army store is there
Oh, okay.
in that locality.
And how long did you anticipate going there before you had your degree or certificate?
About 2 years.
A 2-year program.
Uh-huh.
And with that, you hope to be able to do what?
Work as a secretary.
Work as a secretary. Did you stay in Canandaigua?
No, I rode back and forth with people who went to Canandaigua to work.
Okay. So when you graduated from Gorham School in what year?
1939.
1939. I know it was a long time ago, but do you remember how many were in your class?
Not too many, maybe about 20.
About 20 kids.
Uh-huh.
And you were at the business school in Canandaigua, but you were probably home, were you not,
Oh, I
on
was home,
Sunday?
yeah. Uh-huh.
Do you remember how you heard about the Japanese bombing Pearl Harbor?
I was away at a gathering of women at a church in Manchester, I think it was. Yeah,
Did somebody come into the group and
yeah,
say what had happened?
yes,
Somebody heard it on the radio,
Yeah.
I assume?
yes.
Did you follow the war in Europe much in 1940 and 41, the Battle of Britain, or were you not too interested?
No, no. My heart was over in Spain, over in the other location after Pearl Harbor.
Sure. Did you have any idea that when you heard about Pearl Harbor that it would shake everyone's world up like it did?
Not really.
You didn't know that it would be that large an event?
No.
What did the women of your family do differently once the war was declared? Were you involved with rolling bandages or savings bonds or anything like
I
that?
don't think so.
Okay. You had 4 brothers.
Yeah.
Was it Clyde and Russell and Wilbur, and who was the other one?
Charles.
Charles. How many of the 4 saw military service?
Only Wilbur.
Only
Barney.
Wilbur. Were the other boys enough older or
Yeah.
young?
Yeah.
Enough other boys were enough older.
My oldest brother, Clyde, was 18 when I was born. So
Okay. Where did he settle? Where
Uh,
did he go?
he was a pastor of a church in, well, I guess Waterloo. I don't know, way downstate. He was pastor in a church downstate.
Okay. And Russell was putting in the hoist in
Yeah.
Stanley.
Uh-huh.
And how about Clyde?
It was Clyde we were talking about, wasn't
Okay.
it?
Who the other brother?
Charles.
Charles.
He was a doctor.
Was he in Rushville?
He was in Rushville.
Oh, he was very well known. He had that nice house on Castle in Maine.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
That's still referred to as the Hurlburt House.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Yes. So Barney, or Wilbur, as the
Mhm.
family calls him, if you're about 19, he's about 30, correct, when the war breaks out?
Yeah.
What was he doing when the war broke out?
I don't know, but I do know that after Pearl Harbor was declared, he couldn't get in Air Force here, so he went to Canada.
Okay, before he, when the war was declared, where was he living?
Home, I guess.
He was living
At
with
home.
you
Yeah.
at home? Okay. Do you remember what his birthday was?
It's in March sometime, the 20th. I'll say the 20th.
So somewhere around March 20th of 1911, Barney was born.
Uh-huh.
What did he enjoy doing as a kid?
Oh, building things, repairing things.
Did your father have a shop of some sort where he was
Oh, no.
working on things?
No.
Where would he build or repair things?
I guess at home.
At
I
home?
don't know. Uh-huh.
Do you remember some of your brother Barney's good friends who he palled around with?
I don't remember them, no.
Okay.
Earl knows them, I guess, from Geneva.
Okay. Did Barney work after school or on
He
weekends?
didn't finish school.
He didn't finish school. How far did he go in school?
I have no idea, but he didn't finish.
Okay. So when the war was declared by Roosevelt in America, you said he couldn't get into the service?
No, because he had no high school education. He
So what did he do?
enlisted in the RCAF in Canada. Went to Canada and took his training there.
Now you say he went in the Royal Canadian Air Force.
Uh-huh.
Tell me about his early years around airplanes.
Oh, it would take a long time.
That's what I'm interested in.
Yeah, he liked airplanes. He liked anything that had a motor.
Okay, do I understand that he built an airplane?
He built his own plane.
Tell me about that. That's
He
fascinating.
He and Russell and that Earl Knowlton went together and built this plane, homemade plane.
Did they get a kit, or did they...
No, they built it out of in a model. I think it was a Model A engine they had in it.
Are there any pictures of this plane that still survive?
Yes, it should be somewhere.
Do you think you might be able to...
I don't think it survived, no,
But do you
because
think,
he was flying it all over.
but do you think there might be some pictures that we could make copies of?
There might be some pictures you make copies of.
Who might have
I
them?
don't think the plane's not.
No, I I don't think the plane would be either, but who would have pictures of the plane?
I don't really know.
Okay. So this was made with a
I think it was a Model A.
Model A engine. Do you know where they got the engine from?
No, probably from my brother's garage.
Did they have plans that they drew this up from, this plane?
I really don't know.
How long did it take them to put it together?
I can remember them painting the wings at home in my mother's, and it smelled just terrible.
Where did they paint the wings?
Where did they do it?
Where'd they do that?
I suppose the Colin, you know,
Where?
at home.
No,
At
but
mine.
you said it smelled terrible.
It
In the
did.
house or in the garage? Or?
Probably in the garage,
Okay,
in the
that-
barn, in the barn.
Did they assemble this plane out in the yard under a tarp, or where did they put it together?
I don't know.
Okay, but it was on your property.
Oh, yeah,
What color were the wings?
yellow.
Yellow wings, and
Mhm.
what color was what they call the fuselage?
I think that was yellow.
So it was a yellow plane.
Uh-huh.
Okay. How many people could fit in this contraption?
Two.
Two people.
Uh-huh.
So Barney, who never finished high school, was smart enough to put a plane together.
Yeah,
He must have been an amazing fella.
he liked mechanics. And
Did he go to different fairs and what have you, where people would be flying airplanes to watch them?
He didn't dare fly his airplane anywhere, but they were after him for flying it without a license.
Tell me about that.
I used to fly it from Farmer's Field, you know, go down.
Out around Gorham and
Yeah,
Stanley,
uh-huh.
he'd fly off and then land, and what would he do? Where would he go?
Oh, just over the country. Yeah.
And who would fly quite often with him?
Oh, probably the people that knew him.
Friends?
And, yeah.
How did he learn to fly?
Got me?
Did he go to a training school, or did he read it in a book, or?
Well, I don't know. Was this after Pearl Harbor?
I'm asking you, I don't know.
Well, I don't know either. He got a lot of his training in Canada.
Okay.
He went to Bombardier School there, and when he came back to the States, he was a lieutenant.
Now you said that they were after him for flying without a license.
Yeah.
Did you actually have government people come and talk to him about?
They don't catch him. They didn't catch
They
him.
didn't catch him. How did you know that they were after him?
Well, he could tell them. I mean, they kept pretty close track of him. Yeah.
Did he ever have any crashes with the yellow plane?
I think they did. I think they lost the prop one day. You know.
You ever hear how that happened?
No.
Uh-huh. How many years before you lost track of the plane?
I don't know.
And how old was he when he was flying this plane around in Farmers Field?
He's got to be between his 20s and 30s, I would think.
Okay, 20s and 30s. So he goes to Canada because he doesn't have enough education to get into the Army Air Corps here?
Yeah.
Where did he go in Canada?
Just across the lake. Can't remember to tell you the name of the place.
Some city in Ontario, Canada?
Yeah.
Okay. Was this, how much after Pearl Harbor was this that he left?
Wasn't very long. He wanted to get in.
He must have been very patriotic,
He wanted to fly.
wanted to
No.
fly. Did he have a steady girlfriend?
I don't know.
Okay. Was he ever married?
Yes, he was married twice.
Okay.
First time he was married, he had 2 daughters. You might know the 2 daughters.
Babbitt? Dan?
Ethel remarried to
Yes,
Babbitt.
that's right.
The daughters were Elaine Gilmore and Glenn Butcher.
Okay. I know Elaine.
You know Elaine?
Um, So he goes to Canada, to a city up there, shortly after Pearl Harbor.
Yeah.
Did he tell you anything about the training?
do know he took bombardier training there. I don't know what other training.
Okay. Now, would this be in the winter of 1941, or are we in 1942, do you think?
I don't know how long he was in Canada.
Okay. He took the bombardier training, then he also learned to fly
Yeah.
up there,
Yeah.
improved his...
Uh-huh.
Did he say what they had him flying in? What kind of planes?
Not that I know
Okay. Was he able to come home on leave very much?
of. Not too much.
Not too much.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Now, I can't remember if I asked you, was he married when he went into the service?
No.
No. Okay. When did he find out he was going to be shipping overseas?
He asked to be shipped overseas.
In which theater was he involved with, the European or the Pacific?
Pacific.
Okay. So the Canadians had a presence in the Pacific War as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was in the States.
What was he doing?
He was a lieutenant down in Texas. He was in the States before he went over.
Oh, did
He
he
came
train?
back to the States.
Did he transfer from the RCAF
Yeah.
to the Army Air Corps?
Yeah.
Do you know when he did that?
I don't know. No.
With all his training, he probably didn't have to go through basic training
No.
again, did he?
No.
They slid him right in at
Mhm.
appropriate level.
Yeah.
Now, what rank did he get to in Canada? Was he a lieutenant?
I think, well, he came back to the States as a lieutenant, so I don't know.
Did he at one time have a Canadian Air Force uniform?
Yeah.
Probably did, didn't he?
Yeah.
And then sometime he transferred into the American Air Force?
Yeah.
Where was he stationed when he first became an American military
I
man?
think down in Texas.
Down in Texas.
Mhm.
Okay. Do you remember hearing about how long he was down there?
No, I don't.
Okay. So, does he meet a girl from Texas or up here or
He
Canada?
married a girl from Penang,
Girl from Penang.
Mhm.
And her last name?
Anderson.
Anderson. Okay. And they get married about what year?
I don't know what year they were married,
Okay.
but they had the two girls,
Elaine and
Glenda.
Glenda. Okay. Did Barney's wife live down in Texas, or she lived up here with her people?
She came up here. After he went overseas, she came up here.
To Gorham
Uh-huh.
from
Well,
Penang.
Penang.
Okay. So when is he going overseas?
I don't know what year he went.
Okay. What did they have him doing? What was he doing?
Flying B-17s and B-29s.
Okay. Was he off of land bases or was he off of carriers?
You mean in the Pacific
Yes,
Theater?
when he was in the war.
He was in based on island Tinian, over
Tinian.
in the Pacific.
Okay. He's flying B-17s and
B-29.
okay, the B-17s were first.
B-17s he learned here on. He flew
Okay.
B-17s here because B-29 was not known then. They were keeping a big secret.
What was his main duty assignment when he was in the B-17s? What was his targets? What was he doing?
Probably learning how to bomb.
Okay. Did they have him and the others bombing land-based targets or Japanese shipping, or don't you know?
I mean, when he was overseas
Yeah.
or here?
When he was overseas. Yeah.
He had a B-29 he took overseas with him.
Oh, so anytime he was overseas, it was with a B-29.
Right,
The B-17 was just in this country.
yeah,
Okay. So he went overseas with a B-29.
yeah.
Did you ever meet any of his crew?
I did, no,
You didn't.
no.
Okay. Did you know where any of his crew was from?
from all over, but most of them were from the East Coast.
East Coast.
Uh-huh.
You remember the name of his plane?
The leading lady.
Leading Lady.
Yeah.
If it's a leading lady, was it because of plays and musicals, or he was the leading of the bomb group? Do you
I don't
know?
really know why he chose that.
Oh, he chose the name,
Yeah, I guess it was chosen.
so he was the captain.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
So he was the top guy on his plane.
Yeah, he was the captain.
Do you remember where at least his co-pilot was from?
I think in Pennsylvania.
Someplace in Pennsylvania.
I think so.
Do you remember his last name?
I have no idea.
Okay. Did you ever meet the co-pilot?
No.
Was he able to come home a couple of times before he went overseas?
Before he went overseas, he scheduled a routine training flight with his B-29 into Rochester, so that all the crew got home because they were all from the East Coast.
So he flew into Rochester, and then they were able to go for a little while from Rochester?
Yeah, they had so much leave time.
Did you go up to the Rochester airport to see
He
the
thought
plane?
it was the B-29 he flew into Rochester,
B-17?
B-17.
Did you go up to
Yeah,
Rochester?
I went through the B-17.
You went through it?
Yeah,
That had to be exciting.
yeah, it was.
How many went up from Gorham to see the B-17?
Oh, my brothers. Mm-hmm.
Were your parents real proud of him?
Oh, sure. Yeah, yeah.
Now, how old were the girls when he came home to Rochester?
I don't know. They were small
Well, okay.
because I don't know what year Ethel and Barney got their divorce. But the children weren't very old when they divorced.
Was the separation real hard on husbands and wives back then?
It was hard for her, especially because he was away. But she was living with her parents,
I see.
little girl.
I see. Tell me, before we go back to talking about Barney overseas, were you involved in like the Victory Corps or any of the civilian efforts
No.
during the war?
No.
Okay. Was there an airplane observation post over near Gorham or Stanley?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. I wondered if anybody near you worked in observation post. There was in Reed's Corners.
Was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Near the Bighams,
Uh-huh.
just east of Reed's Corners. Do you remember what month Barney went overseas?
Oh, dear. I don't know.
Do you remember what season? Was it spring or summer, or is it so long ago?
It's so long ago I couldn't remember it.
Okay. He goes to Tinian,
Tinian, I think, was where they were based, the B-29s.
so he takes the leading lady and his crew. Where did they take the plane? Did they fly it over?
They flew it over.
Okay. Do you know where he flew to initially?
No, I don't.
Did he fly like from Texas to California and then California to Hawaii or
Could have
something?
been. Could have been.
Okay. Did he write much back home to you, or was he not a writer?
He wasn't a writer.
Didn't write much.
No.
Did you write to him?
Yeah, we did. We did. Uh-huh.
Did you just share news from home? And
Yeah. Uh-huh.
did he talk about being homesick much?
No, I don't think so. I don't,
Do you think he was born to
I think he
fly?
was born to fly. Yeah. That was his life.
Did he ever do any barnstormings or any tricks with the plane that people talk about?
He might have. I'm not saying he did, but he might have, and that's probably why everybody was after him. So he flew low enough over my parents' house to call to me and say, come on over to the airport and get me.
Is that right?
Yeah, you could almost see his wristwatch.
Now, the airport was where?
Over by who's a farmer over there?
Well, there's Hanson.
Yeah,
Ed
Ed Hanson.
Hanson,
Ed
okay.
Hanson. It was on the corner of Lake to Lake and what's the road that goes down through there? Mott Road?
Yeah, there's Mott Road. Yeah.
I think it was down in that area.
Okay. Who owned the airport?
I don't know.
Farmers Field?
Yeah, Farmers Field.
Did you ever know Roger Preston?
Yes, I knew of him. I didn't know him very well.
Okay, because he was a B-17 pilot
Oh, was
in
he?
Europe,
In Europe?
and he lives in Geneva.
Oh,
He's been very interesting to talk to. I asked you, but I can't remember what you said, Pearl. He learned to fly how? Was it, he took some lessons, did he take some lessons?
I don't know.
Okay. So Barney goes overseas, and his rank is what at this time?
Lieutenant. Oh, overseas. Captain.
He goes overseas and he's a captain.
Yeah.
Did he ever write back to you about different missions he was on? What they were
No.
trying to do?
No.
Okay. He was lost, was he not, in battle?
Yes, he flew his B-29 on a bombing run over Japan, over Nagoya, Japan.
Well, what was the name of the city?
Nagoya.
Nagoya?
And he was, I think, I might be wrong. I think he was on his way return, and he got hit with a kamikaze plane.
So that was a Japanese plane that intentionally flew into
Yeah.
his?
Yeah.
Were all on his crew lost?
All but one, the tail gunner.
The tail gunner.
Uh-huh.
Was he able
He's
to
still
parachute?
alive, I think.
Was he able to parachute out,
Yeah.
tail gunner?
Yeah. Someone said that all the lines of communication were out after they got hit, so he couldn't talk to his captain. He was a major, I'm sorry. Byrne was a major when he went over.
Okay.
And had he come back, we heard, now the rumor is, and it could be so, he had a lieutenant colonel flying with him that day. And they said if he had come back, he would have been promoted to the next rank.
Do you know what their targets were that they had just come back from bombing?
Just that in one city.
Just the one city. Do you know how large a group of American planes went over?
I don't know. But they said his was the only one that was missing.
The only
that
one
day.
missing. Now, you said something surprising to me. Did you say that the tail gunner you think might still be alive?
I almost think so.
Where does he live?
Down in Pennsylvania, I think. I'm not sure.
Do you remember what his name was?
No, I don't remember.
Okay. Who should I talk to see if I could get in touch with him?
I don't know.
Who would know
No.
about that?
I'll tell you who has a wealth of information on Barney, and that is Russ Jr.
He's where?
in Texas.
He's in Texas.
And he just went right to it, and he was, let's say, he was B-29 crazy.
Now, did he know Barney, or wasn't he born
No.
then?
Oh, yeah,
Oh, did he?
must have known Barney, because he's 73, 74.
Oh, okay.
It's Russ's son.
Oh, okay. I see. When are you notified that were you notified that he was missing and presumed dead, or that he had died? What did they tell you?
We got a notification saying he was missing. His wife he gave his wife's name and address to my parents, but she was still down in Texas. So my parents knew the man wouldn't tell them what came in with the telegram.
So a man came to your
So-
parents' house?
Yeah, so they sent the notice on to her because it was addressed to her.
So your parents had this sinking feeling.
Yeah, right.
No,
That he was missing.
you say, was this a telegram person or was it a military person
The
that came out?
telegram person.
Is that how they did it?
Yeah.
Were you home when the telegram came in?
I was living home. I was working in Geneva and I was living home. And we had a big snowstorm. I remember we had a blizzard and I was working in Geneva and I told my boss I had to go home because my parents had been notified of my brother's missing. I do remember that part.
But they didn't know for sure he was missing until his wife opened the telegram, did
And
they?
she assumed that they had told him. Until finally, not finally, but they called her.
To find out what it said?
And yeah, and she just assumed that they already knew.
Do you remember what emotions you felt? Were you angry? Were you just devastated? What were your emotions when they
I was just plain sad.
said?
Yeah.
When you think back of Barney, so full of life, what is he doing? Is he flying in your head?
Yeah,
Is that what
right.
he's doing?
Yeah, he's flying.
He's flying.
He lived a lifetime in the short years he was here.
How many missions was he on, do you know?
I don't know how many missions.
Russ Jr. would know.
Russ Jr. No. In fact, I think he might have a picture of the plane they built. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
Barney probably never regretted going into service, do you figure?
No. Mm-mm. No.
Now you said he was married twice.
Uh-huh.
So this lady from Penn Yan, was this the second wife?
Yes.
Who was the first wife?
Harold Babbitt's wife
Okay. And then the second wife,
was the Penn Yan.
and her name was Sanders
Anderson.
Anderson.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was
They
she?
had 2 children.
Okay, so Barney had a total of how many kids?
4.
He had 4 kids. And the other 2 kids are who?
Jimmy and Donna from down in FEMA. After they had the memorial service and declared him officially dead, my sister-in-law went to Florida to live. And of course, we did keep in touch with him, but
It's hard, isn't
it's
it?
hard. Yeah. Jim went in the Navy. That was the son down there. And he retired from the Navy. I understand he had his own ship.
So he was a commander or a high
Yeah.
officer?
Uh-huh.
Huh.
In the Navy. And I've met the daughter. She came to see us one time when we were in Florida.
Uh-huh. Is there anything else about Barney that I neglected to ask you that you think is kind of fleshes out the image of him more?
Can't think of anything. I wish you could interview Russ Jr. though. He got to be a nut on it, you know. Anything he could find out, why, he was going to find it out. And it was his uncle. Obviously, his own son wasn't interested that much.
Huh. Did all your brothers spend most of their free time, if they went into a town, would town have been Gorham, Stanley, or Geneva? Where would they go to hang out with their friends, like on a weekend?
Oh, probably Geneva.
They'd probably go to Geneva?
Yeah.
Wasn't much going on in Gorham?
Not really.
Not really. Well, I want to thank you for taking a few minutes and talking to me about your brother. It was very interesting.
I wish I could be of more help for you.
Well, this is helpful that you put me on to Russ Jr. Thank you. Well, I'm still with Pearl Angel, and I'd like to ask you a couple questions about your husband, if I might. Your husband was Wendell, correct?
Right.
And Wendell's parents were Bert and who?
Sylvia.
What was Sylvia's maiden name? Do you remember?
Oh, Phelps.
Phelps?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, Bert and Sylvia lived where?
Well, is right now where the barber shop is.
where the barber shop was in Gorham. And what was he doing for a job?
He worked for Iverson part-time, and then he went in business for himself.
As a barber?
Yeah.
Okay, and with Iverson, he was a carpenter?
Yeah.
Okay. Your husband was Wendell,
Yeah.
and what month, day, and year was Wendell born?
14th of April, and I don't know what year.
Okay, how much older is he than you?
6 years.
6 years, and you were born in 22,
Yeah.
so he was born about 1916,
Yeah.
roughly. Okay. Did Wendell have brothers or sisters?
He had one sister, Margaret, and he had one brother, Arden.
Okay. Margaret, did she marry?
Yeah, but she's deceased. She
Okay.
lives in Penn.
What was her married name?
Well, the famous mother and dad's angel. Well, I don't know.
But who she married? Well, who she?
Thompson.
Thompson. Okay. Now your husband Wendell had a brother Arden.
Yeah.
Okay. Was Arden younger or older than Wendell?
Arden was younger.
Arden was younger.
He was a plumber.
He was a plumber with Howard and Angel, right?
Yeah, you're right.
Okay. Now, did you know Wendell when Pearl Harbor was declared? Did you
No.
know him?
No,
Had you seen him around? Did you know of him?
I know of him because we lived in the same town.
Okay. And he was 6 years older than you?
Yeah.
Okay.
He traveled in a different
Sure. You
party.
would have first dated after the war?
Yeah.
Okay. When did you and Wendell start to date?
In April of 47.
Okay. Who introduced you?
Oh, I don't know, really.
What was your first date?
Went to the movies.
Went to the movies.
Yeah.
Geneva, Canandaigua, or Penn
Yeah,
Yan?
Geneva.
Geneva.
probably.
What was Wendell doing for a job after the war?
Well, he was painting cars and things like this because he got hurt in the war and his legs bothered him.
Okay. So everything that you know about Wendell and the war was things that Wendell told you after you were married,
Yeah.
for the most part?
Well,
Where did you and Wendell set up housekeeping?
in Gorham.
In Gorham. Near the barber shop?
Right over top of the
Right over
barber shop.
top of the barber shop.
Uh-huh.
What are some of the things that you remembered before I got the camcorder out about Wendell's experiences in the war?
He didn't talk much about it. Not much about it.
What branch of the service was he in?
Paratroopers.
Okay, so he was in the Army?
82nd Airborne.
When I think of the 82nd Airborne, I think of real macho, hard-charging guys. Was he like that, or
Yeah. Uh-huh.
was he pretty rugged and
Pretty rugged. He had to be.
What did he tell you about basic training with the 82nd Airborne?
Not much.
Is that because you were living life in the 1950s and you didn't talk much about the war?
He didn't talk much about the war unless one of his war companions came to visit, you know.
Did that happen much?
Yeah, there was a man by the name of Abbott in Manchester, and he'd come over to see us, and then they'd get to talking about things that happened when they were in the war. But other than that, he didn't talk about it.
Is that one of the Abbotts from Abbott's Steakhouse, the
It's
restaurant?
Sam Abbott.
Sam
Sam
Abbott.
Abbott. Uh-huh.
Is he still alive?
I think so.
Sam Abbott. He didn't really talk about basic training or anything
No,
like that.
Uh-uh.
When did Wendell ship overseas?
That I don't know.
Okay. He went to, you said he made jumps into Sicily?
Italy, and B.E. game.
So he went in to Sicily first probably,
Yeah,
and then he jumped into Italy,
yeah,
and then was he at a base in England for a while training?
yeah. He must have been based there.
So in probably May or June of '44, before D-Day, he was in England.
Yeah,
Probably.
probably.
Did he talk much about being stationed in England?
Not really.
Okay.
Not much.
what did he tell you about the hours leading up to D-Day?
All I knew was that they were ordered to jump, and they were ordered to jump 8 hours before VE Day.
So your husband,
So he went in
Landed-
8 hours before the land troops went in. He jumped them in.
did he come in, they come in on a glider, or did he jump parachute out of a plane?
Parachute out of a plane.
Okay, did he talk about how scary or how exciting D-Day was?
Well, they got dumped into a woods, and they were jumped so far back that the Germans didn't dare come and get them because they didn't know how many were back there, and the Americans couldn't get out because, you know, they didn't know. So they had to wait for troops to come to them, to fight to them.
So, there in June of 44, did he get hurt on the landing, or did he make
He
it into the
got
woods?
hurt.
Okay.
He was on patrol, and he got hurt with shrapnel. It laid his head right open here.
Okay, now was this quite a while after D-Day, or was this shortly after D-Day?
I don't know. I know he went in after he got hurt. He decided to be a barber, so he did barber work too.
Okay, now, so he's at D-Day, and later he's on a patrol, and an artillery shell or a mortar shell or
Yeah.
something exploded.
The other men with him were killed.
How many were on patrol with
I
him?
think there were 3.
Okay, so there were three
Yeah.
and him, or he was one of 3?
He was one of 3.
So of 3 of them, he got hurt in the head,
Yeah,
and 2 other guys were killed.
yeah.
Did he talk much about that?
Not much. Not much.
Was he evacuated to a aid
Yeah.
station, or
Mhm.
where was that?
I don't know, really. He, of course, he was a disabled veteran.
Did his head injuries bother him
Not
later
much.
in life?
No,
Did you say that he had a plate in his head?
yeah. He
Where-
does have a plate in his head.
Where was that?
Around this part of his head, I think.
Okay. How did that affect him in later years?
I don't think it affected him very much.
Okay. But did you say that his legs bothered him?
Yeah, his legs, he didn't have good circulation in his legs when he got back first.
Do you know why that was?
No, unless it was with his head injury. Had something to do with it.
When did he come back to the States, do you know?
Gee, I don't know.
He never returned to active duty after the head injury, did he? Uh-huh. Was he in the VFW or the American Legion?
He's in the Legion.
In the American Legion. So he probably enlisted right after Pearl Harbor, didn't he?
Or drafted.
Or was he drafted?
Yeah.
Was Arden younger than him?
Yeah.
How much younger?
Oh, I don't really know. Arden was in the Coast Guard.
Okay. Off the Atlantic coast or the
Yeah.
Pacific?
The Atlantic.
Besides Sam Abbott, did you have any other visitors that were in the service as Wendell?
Once in a while he has somebody that looks enough that's still, you know, among the living.
Did he go to many reunions or anything?
Yes,
of the
we went
82nd
to
Airborne?
one. We went to 2. We went to one in Fort Bragg.
When was that?
Oh, I don't know.
Was that like in the 60s or?
I would say so. And then then Sandy thought there was a reunion, another reunion. I don't know where it was. So we got there, and it was all over.
He had the wrong days?
Yeah.
Was Sam's wife still alive?
Oh, yeah.
Uh-huh.
I think Sam is too.
Okay.
We don't hear much from him after, you lose your connection.
Yeah, yeah.
But I hear he's retired from one of the rest went, and some of his nephews or something
Does
took it over.
World War II to you seem like 100 years ago or yesterday?
Well, it seems like a time 100 years ago.
Did you have a fear that we would lose, or did you assume that
Well, I just assumed we went over to win.
we went over to win?
Yeah.
Did, when you saw a serviceman in Geneva or Canandaigua back in 43 and 44, did people look up to him like I hear that they did?
I think they did. Of course, we had a training base over at Sampson for the Navy. You know,
Did you ever go over there?
yes, I went over there once. Big base.
Did you go over like for a USO dance or what?
No, I went over because there was a friend based there in basic.
Who was that?
And he couldn't come out, but I could go in. Bob Johnson
Is he from Penn Yan?
was from Gorham.
Johnson.
Uh-huh.
Is he still around here?
You got me.
Bob Johnson.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for our
Well.
second chapter on Wendell. Thanks a
Good.
lot.
I'm glad I could be of some help.
You sure were.